Welcome to your next practice. So this practice will have some twisting elements. So we'll be understanding how to rotate the spine and the torso without necessarily rotating the pelvis. So this is really important because the spinal health is based on a couple of different aspects. One is that the spine can segment, which means that we can move each vertebrae individually and independently. And the second is where we actually load the spine and where we move from in a rotation or even in a forward bend or a back bend. And really, if you think about what the spine looks like, so even if you don't know anatomy very well, you probably have a very rudimentary understanding of what the spine looks like. You can picture it in your mind. Because we were once quadrupeds, we used to be on all fours, we would have had a spine much like a cat or a dog, where the vertebrae were equal in size. But then we became upright creatures, and gravity bears down on us. So our lower vertebrae got bigger and wider. And then as the spine moves up, the vertebrae gets smaller. So the lower vertebrae are weight bearing downwards. They are made for that. They are not really made for too much rotation, too much flexion and extension. However, the middle spine, the thoracic spine, is made to do all these things. So it can side bend, it can extend, it can flex, and it can rotate. Not to say that the other parts of the spine can't do that. It's just that the middle spine is the most efficient at it. However, again, in this modern world that we live in, we tend to not rotate from there. We tend to be kind of stuck and fused. I call it moving like a Lego person. And then we aren't treating our spine as it should be used, if that makes any sense. So what we'll be practicing today is how to create strength and stability in the places that we need strength and stability, and how we create fluidity and movement in the places that there's supposed to be movement. So I hope that makes sense. With that all said, please lie down on your back in Shavasana. I'll join you. Feet spread out as wide as your mat, lying down on your back, palms facing up towards the ceiling, shoulders relaxed down. Let your body be held by the floor. There is nowhere to go, there's nothing to do right now but settle, arrive, feel what it's like to be here on your yoga mat. You may have had a busy day. It might be first thing in the morning. It might be last thing at night. So let go of any distraction, internally, externally, and just arrive on this sacred space, which is your yoga mat. Allow yourself to just arrive. We'll begin to notice the natural breath. So just notice the breath at the nostrils. Natural inhale, natural exhale. You don't have to force the breath. Just notice it. Now we'll begin to deepen and lengthen the breath. So as you inhale, draw the breath right down into the lower belly. Even feel like you could breathe into the pelvis. And then as you exhale, let the belly sink back down. This time as you inhale, fill the belly and the rib cage. Spread the ribs in all directions, upwards, sidewards, backwards. And then exhale, let the ribs and belly sink back down. This is a complete breath. Fill the belly, the rib cage, the armpits, the chest, the shoulders. And with the exhale, let the rib cage and the belly sink back down. Continue this complete breath again. Belly, rib cage, chest and shoulders. Exhale, chest relaxes, rib cage relaxes, belly relaxes. 2 more breaths like this. Then just allow your attention to move back into your body, into your physical body. Begin to wake your body softly, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your hands, move your feet. Turn your head a little right and a little left. Take a big stretch with your arms overhead, point your toes, lick your lips and yawn. And then relax your arms back down. Bend your knees, plant the soles of the feet on the floor. Knees are hip distance apart, which means you have a straight line from your knee to your hip. You have a straight line from your chin to your breastbone to your belly button, and your hands go back down to the floor. So make sure that your ankles are underneath your knees. Make sure that the toes aren't pointing in or pointing out. The toes are pointing straight towards the bottom of your mat. When you're happy with that alignment, put your head back down on the floor. Lift your chin slightly. Tuck your chin down until you make a double chin, and then just lift the chin out of that double chin so we have the neck in a neutral position. Let your collarbones broaden as if you're trying to smile with the collarbones, and this will open the chest. We'll take the hands into a diamond shape. Tips of the index fingers come together, tips of the thumbs come together. And place the index fingers on the pubic bone, place the thumbs on or just underneath the navel, and the base of the thumb and the heel of the hand will go on the hips. So from here we're going to just rock the pelvis forward and back. With an inhale, arch your low back and rock the pelvis forward into what we call an anterior or a forward tilt. And with your exhale, flatten your low back to the floor. Inhale, rock the pelvis forward. Exhale, flatten the low back to the floor. Inhale, rock the pelvis forward. Exhale, flatten your low back to the floor. 2 more. One more. And then find a neutral position. And how do we find neutral? We have this diamond shape, flat, facing up towards the ceiling. So you could even lift your head and look down. Your thumbs should be level with your index fingers, and the base of your thumb and the heel of your hand should be level with your index fingers and your thumbs. So we haven't got the diamond shape facing down with the index fingers lower than the thumbs, or we haven't have the diamond shape with the index fingers higher than the thumbs. We have it flat and level. Put the head back down. And then how do we maintain this? How do we keep this? Well, I say it's like you're putting on a pair of jeans that you've left in the dryer for too long and they're a little bit too small. So it feels like your hips move in slightly. Your waist gets slightly smaller. Your pelvic floor and your abdominals contract about 30-40%. Not too rigid, just engaged. And then when you have that in place and you've held it in place with those muscles I've just talked about, take your thumbs and slide them up until you meet a rib. That will be your 10th rib. And take the index fingers onto the front of your pelvis. And with your next exhale, I'm going to exhale through my mouth. Exhale and sink your ribs down towards your pelvis, so that your 10th rib lines up at the front of the pelvis. And again, feel like you are engaging. You're making your waist smaller, your rib cage moves in. And we hold this in position without rigidity. If you feel like you need to breathe in deeply, it's the rib cage that expands outwards and backwards and inwards. Outwards and backwards and inwards. Not up so that we dome the abdomen. We keep everything very stable. With all that said, put your hands back on the floor. We will hold and maintain this position as we lift right foot off the floor, stack right knee over right ankle, maintain that the pelvis stays neutral, lift the left leg up doing the same thing. We're going to keep the knees hip distance apart, but imagine there's a block between your knees and you're trying to squeeze your knees closer together. With your next inhale, point your toes as far forward as you can. Exhale, flex the feet. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. 2 more. Point and flex. 1 more. Point and flex. Now ankle rotations. Keep the legs as still as you possibly can. It should feel like work to maintain the neutral pelvis and the neutral spine. So that's okay if you're feeling like it's hard. Change direction. Come back to stillness. Now this time squeeze your legs together as if you have a sheet of A4 paper between your shins and you want to hold it tightly. We are going to move from the knee joints, so knee rotations. So it's a big circle with the heels as if you're drawing a full moon with your heels, but the movement is coming from your knee joints. Keep your knees squeezing together as if you're squeezing that sheet of A4 paper between your 2 knees. Change direction of your circle. And again, release. This time the heels are down towards the buttocks. Put your hands on your knees, right hand on your right knee, left hand on your left knee. Keep the pelvis in neutral, but begin to circle your knees. So if you take the pelvis out of neutral, you'll notice that the pelvis is along for a ride when you circle the knees. So how could you keep that a much smaller movement and just move the thigh bone, the femur, and the hip socket? You'll feel that you need to activate your pelvic floor, your lower abdominals, even your glutes, just to hold the pelvis in space. If it's moving, it's okay. Just learn. Try to isolate the movement into the hip joints and not bring the pelvis along for a ride. Let's change direction and see what it feels like in that direction. So again, we're just trying to move the thigh bone in the hip socket and not create such a big movement that it makes the pelvis rock. And this time, when you come to stillness, we're going to put the feet back down on the floor. Walk the feet a little wider than hip distance. Take the knees close together, hands down beside you, palms face up, and just relax for a moment. When the knees are together like this is called supine rest position. It's a very relaxing place for the core muscles that we tend to need in the working positions. So give them the time to relax. As you breathe in, feel like the pelvic floor relaxes down into the bowl of the pelvis. Feel that your belly is relaxed and you feel that the air really accepted into that soft belly. And as you exhale, the pelvic floor will naturally rise a little. The waist will get smaller, the rib cage will come in, the lower belly will flatten. And then again, you inhale and the pelvic floor relaxes and the rib cage expands in all directions. Just spend a few moments noticing your breath. Now we're going to separate the knees again, take the feet hip distance apart, check that the pelvis is in a neutral position, check that the ribs are sinking down so that your 10th rib is in line with the front of the pelvis and hip points. Once you're happy with that alignment, we're going to lift the legs back up. Right knee stacks above right hip, keep the pelvis steady, left knee stacks above left hip. This time I'd like you to squeeze your legs together. So you have a sheet of A4 paper between your thighs, a sheet of A4 paper between your shins, and you're holding it firmly. Take your hands and interlace your fingers down to the webbing and take the hands behind the back of the head. If this has made the pelvis move, you're going to take it back into a neutral position. Press your elbows and shoulder blades firmly down into the floor. Feel the collarbones are broad. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to bring the knees down to your right hand side, but don't let your left shoulder blade lift off the floor. Knees go down only so far that you can keep your left elbow and shoulder on the floor. Keep squeezing your knees and thighs together. Bring your knees back up, and this time your knees are going to go down to the left. So the right shoulder blade and the right elbow stay on the floor, knees go down to your left, and then we come back up to center. Pause for a moment, take a deep inhale, and then go down to your right again. Keep your left shoulder on the floor, don't let it rise. You don't have to take the knees so deep. Bring the knees back up to center on your inhale, and then exhale, go down to your left. Take the knees back up to center, keep the knees squeezing together, the knees do not part, and go down to your right. Come back up to center, and go down to your left. Come back up to center, and this time we're going to bring the knees down to the right. Maintain that left shoulder blade stays on the floor. Keep your knees squeezing together and just straighten your right leg. Keep the knees together. Bend your right knee, come back up to center. Take both knees down to your left, hold for a moment, keep the right shoulder blade on the floor, straighten left leg, bend the knee, and come back up to center. Go down to your right, straighten your right leg, bend the knee, and come back up to center. Go down to your left, straighten the left leg, bend the knee, and come back up to center. Go down to your right, straighten the right leg, bend the knee, and come back up to center. Go down to your left, straighten your left leg, bend the knee, and come back up to center. This time go down to your right, maintain the position of the torso, make sure that your left shoulder blade is still on the floor, straighten both legs, bend the knees, come back up to center. Go down to your left, keep your right shoulder blade on the floor, straighten both legs, bend the knees, and come back up to center. Go to your right one last time, straighten both legs, bend the knees, come back up to center. Go over to your left, straighten both legs, bend the knees, come back up to center. Beautiful. Now reach the arms out at shoulder height or keep your elbows bent so we have more stability now because we've broadened the space so we had much less surface area control when the hands are behind the head. Now we're going to broaden the space and I want us to go a little deeper. So we start with the knees stacked above the hips, squeeze your knees together. So we have the elbows in line with the shoulders or the wrists in line with the elbows as well. So either cactus arms or straight arms. For me, in fact, I do have the room, I can have straight arms. So keep your knees squeezing firmly together. Go down to your right. See, can you go a little deeper this time? Straighten your right leg. Keep the knees glued together. Bend the knee. Come back up to center. This time we're going down to the left. Keep your right shoulder blade on the floor. Straighten your left leg. Bend the knee and come back up to center. So we can go deeper, but we need just as much stability as when we didn't go so deep. So let's go down to the right. Straighten the right leg. Bend the knee and come back up to center. Go down to the left. Keep your right shoulder blade on the floor. Straighten your left leg. Bend the knee and come back up to center. This time we'll straighten both legs, so we're going to go down to the right. Keep your left shoulder on the floor, straighten both legs, bend the knees, and come back up to center. Go down to your left, keep your right shoulder blade on the floor, stabilize, straighten both legs, bend the knees, and come back up to center. One more time, just like that. Down to the right. Keep left shoulder blade on the floor, straighten both legs, bend the knees, and come back up to center. And down to your left one last time. Keep the right shoulder blade on the floor. Straighten the legs. And come back up to center. Please lower your feet to the floor. Feet go slightly wider than hip distance. Knees coming together. Hands down beside you. Palms face up. Breathe deeply. Let those core muscles relax. They've been doing a lot of work. So as you inhale, feel the pelvic floor expand down into the bowl of the pelvis. Feel the ribcage expand. And as you exhale, pelvic floor will lift slightly, ribcage will draw in. This is your natural breath. Separate the knees again, walk the feet back in so the ankles are under the knees. You have a choice here. You can roll to one side and come up to seated, or you can draw your knees in towards your chest. Make yourself into a little ball. Lift your forward towards your knees and then begin to rock and roll. Roll up onto the seat, roll back onto the shoulders. Spine is evenly sinking down into the floor. So what I mean by that is it's smooth as you roll. We're going to do one more and come back up to a seated position. Once seated, you're going to extend the legs out. I don't know why I turned myself around. I just did. So I made that awkward on myself. We're going to sit with the legs extended, but then take the feet a little wider than your hip distance, please. Take the feet a little wider than your hip distance, and then move the flesh of the buttocks out to the side so that you're sitting right up onto the sit bones. So the feet will be drawing back, the tops of the feet moving towards the knees so you feel an engagement. And it feels like you're trying to slide your heels back. So all the time the muscles in the legs feel like they're activating and drawing the bones in the legs upwards into the hip socket. We're lengthening through the spine. Take the arms out to shoulder height and plug the upper arms back into the shoulder sockets. Feel like you're pressing down into an invisible support. Make sure the spine is upright and long. The rib cage is stacked above the pelvis always. We're not allowing ourselves to fold down into a flexion, and we're not extending the ribs forward or lifting the chin. So here we are in this upright position, and we're taking the fingers up towards the ceiling and fingers down towards the floor. Fingers up towards the ceiling, fingers down towards the floor. 3 more. Up and down, up and down. 1 more. Up and down. Excellent. Palms flat to the floor, thumbs to the center of the palm. Wrap the fingers around the thumb, wrist rotations. Change direction, please. Come back to stillness. Interlace your fingers down to the webbing. Bend your elbows and hug your elbows together. And then we're going to do little wrist rotations from here as well. And change direction. Then separate the heel of the hand and take the little finger underneath the base of the skull. Head or neck rotations. Change direction. And then release the arms back down. Wonderful. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears and squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2, and go. Excellent. We're going to stay in this upright seated position. So if you found that you've slouched when we were taking the attention to another body part, then come back into this upright position, sitting right up in the sit bones. And you know by now you can sit onto a block if you find that you can't get the spine into an upright position. Absolutely. Now, the arms are going to come out to the side at shoulder height, but palms facing forward, wiggle your fingers and make sure that you can see your fingers in your periphery vision. Sometimes when we take the arms back, we take the shoulder blades back into retraction, or sometimes they're way too far forward and the shoulder blades are away from the spine. We want the shoulder blades on the spine. So we make sure we can see our fingers in our periphery vision. And then from there, we keep the pelvis very stable by feeling, again, we've put on that pair of jeans that are a little bit too small. And we're going to rotate to the right with an exhale and then do 3 little pulses when we're there. Just watch me for the first one and I'll show you. And then we come back to center. And then we'll exhale through the mouth and we're going to rotate to the left. And we come back to center. So we're going to do this 5 times together. Remember that it's the waist that's rotating. What I mean by that is it's not a hip lifting. We're not turning so much that we take the pelvis out of its neutral position. So set yourself up and we'll rotate to the right with an exhale through the mouth. 3 little pulses. Come back to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right, pulse, 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 come back to center. Exhale to the left and pulse, 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 come back to center. To the right, back to center. Arms stay equal distance away from each other. To the left, And back to center. Again, exhale to the right in 3 pulses. Pulse, 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 back to center. And exhale to the left, 3 pulses. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Let's do one more. And back to center. Release your arms down. Interlace your fingers again down to the webbing. Squeeze the heels of your hands together. Reach the arms forward, shoulder height, and plug the upper arms back into the shoulder sockets. We're going to turn the mill with the legs in this ever so slightly wider than hip distance position. Lean forward from the hips now. And then we'll circle out over the left leg, lean back and come in over the right leg. So we're massaging out the hip flexors. We're both opening and compressing that area. We're massaging out the lower abdominal area or the visceral area. We're lengthening and we're contracting the low back. So in this churning the mill, we are both lengthening and strengthening the muscles all around the lower back and the abdominals. We're also stretching the backs of the legs and the tops of the thighs, lengthening and strengthening as we go. Let's do one more rotation and switch direction. Let's do 2 more in this direction. And come back to stillness. The next position that we're going to take is called the saw. So you might watch me for a moment. So what's going to happen is we will be making this saw-like action over the right leg. Now you might be able to go just below the knee or closer to the ankle or even down by the foot. So we're going to do the same style of rotation. So the waist will be rotating to the right. The left hand will be sawing the right leg. And then the right arm will be in an internal rotation from the shoulder joint and you'll be reaching back. So let me show you all of that put together. So we'll start in the same position with the arms out to the side, the same position of the twist that we did. The arms out to the side and we can still see our fingers in our periphery vision with the palms facing forward. On the inhale, I'll ask you to rotate the right arm into an internal rotation with the thumb facing down. On the exhale, we'll move into the rotation and then reach for the right leg. We'll come back and on the inhale, we'll rotate the arms in the opposite way and then we'll rotate towards the left leg. And we come back to center and we rotate the arms in the opposite way. And we come back to center and we rotate the arms in the opposite way. And we'll come back to center. We will be doing this 3 times. Let me say once more what's happening. The rotation is coming from the waist. The chin will stay stacked over the breastbone. We will be leaning forward, and when we go to the right, the left arm will be sawing towards the outside of the right little toe. And the right arm will be in an internal rotation, so the thumb will be facing down, and that will move in 3 pulses. Then we'll come back to center, and then we'll switch the rotation of the arms. So in this case, the right thumb is facing up, the left thumb is facing down as I rotate to the left, and I saw towards my left little toe. And then we come back to center and we change the position for the arms. So 3 times. Reach your arms out to the side at shoulder height, palms facing forward. Make sure you can see your fingers in your periphery vision. Lengthen through the spine. Take an inhale, and as you do so, turn your right thumb to face down towards the floor. Exhale, rotate to your right and left arm saws. Come back to center on the inhale and switch the position. So left arm is now in internal rotation. Rotate to your left. Come back to center. Switch the rotation in the arms. Rotate to your right. Come back to center. Switch the rotation in the arms. Rotate to your left. Come back to center. Switch the rotation in the arms. Rotate to your right. Come back to center, switch the rotation in the arms, rotate to your left. Come back to center, both palms facing forward. Take the hands right down beside you. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears and squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Well done. Cross your legs. Sit nice and tall so you're right up onto your sit bones. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Take your right hand behind your right sitting bone and then press your right hand down into the floor and feel like you're rotating the head of the upper right arm out to the side. Keep the chin in line with the breastbone and rotate to your right as much as you can. When you can't rotate anymore, look over right shoulder. Keep pressing left sit bone down into the floor. Keep rotating to the right. Keep lengthening through the spine as you inhale. Maybe rotating a little bit more with your exhale. And then come back to center, and then we'll switch sides. So right hand goes to the outside of the left knee, left hand is behind left sitting bone. We press that left hand down into the floor and we take the head of the upper arm back and down. Rotate to your left hand side. When you can't rotate anymore from the waist, look over left shoulder. Keep lengthening through the spine on the inhale and rotate a little deeper on the exhale. And come all the way back to center. Beautiful. Change the cross of the legs. From here, we're going to take a side bend. So this time, the left hand goes to the outside of the right knee. The right hand is on the floor on the outside of the right hip. Take the right arm beside the right ear with the palm facing in. And then from here, we're going to turn slightly to the right hand side. So the breastbone is going to the right hand side. And then reach and lengthen over to the left. So your breastbone is facing to the right, your right sit bone stays glued to the ground, and we're reaching and extending, opening the right side of the rib cage. Breathe into the right side of the rib cage. And then come all the way back up. Let's switch sides. So left hand goes to the outside of the right hand goes to the outside of the left knee. The left hand goes down onto the floor, and then we rotate slightly to your left, reach the left upper arm beside the left ear, and then side bend over to the right hand side. Press your left sit bone down, open the left hand side of your rib cage, breathe into the left hand side of your rib cage, and come all the way back up. Beautiful. Wrap both hands now around your shins with the breastbone facing forward. So we've moved the spine into rotation. We've moved the spine laterally, so we've laterally flexed or side bended. Now let's move into a little extension and a little flexion. So little baby cat and cow here from seated position. Tuck the elbows into the side body. Let the pelvis roll slightly forward. Lift your breastbone away from your belly button, your chin away from your breastbone. Look up. And then exhale, push the hands into the shins, round the spine, curl your tailbone under, pelvis rolls backwards, looking down. Inhale, hug the elbows into the side body, feel like you're pulling on the shins, pelvis rolls forward as you extend through the spine. Exhale, feel like you're pushing the shins away as you round the spine. 2 more like this, inhale. And an exhale. And 1 more, inhale. And 1 more exhale. And then come back to your neutral position. We'll come into an all fours position. So you might just slide your legs behind you and come to all fours. Once in all fours, we're going to take a twist. So we'll start with the heel of the hand just under or just forward of the shoulder. So basically the heel of the hand is under or just forward of the armpit. You have the fingers spread wide like you could put a finger between each finger, and the crease of the wrist is in a straight line like the front of your mat. Ground down into each and every fingertip. And feel the weight especially spread into the thumb and first finger. They can get lax. We need to press them firmly down. The thumbs and the inner elbows are facing the opposite top corner. So my right elbow and my right thumb are facing, the inner elbows facing towards the top left-hand corner, and vice versa for the left. Lengthen through the spine, bring the back of the neck up towards the ceiling. Feel like you're hugging your front body into your back body. Sit bones pointing straight back. So we're going to move the right hand ever so slightly over to the side. And then the left arm straight out from the left shoulder. Keep the pelvis as level as you can. Reach the left arm towards the ceiling. And then sweep the left arm underneath the right arm and reach it as far as you can out to the right. Again, extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. And then reach your left arm out to the side. Your right elbow will bend here. Again, reach up. And reach over to the right. We have 2 more like this. Extend up, open the chest to the left. And then open chest to the right as you reach left elbow underneath your right arm. 1 more. and release. Again, come back into your neutral. Set up your whole spine, get everything into a neutral position. Hug your front body into your back body, back of the neck in line with the back of the spine. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. The left hand moves out. Nothing moves. We keep it the torso very still. The left hand just moves out to the left a wee bit. Move your right arm out to the side and then rotate your waist. Point your breastbone up towards your right hand and then reach your right arm underneath your left arm. Reach as far out to the left as you can. And then rotate up. And then reach. Rotate up. And then reach. Rotate up. Reach underneath the left arm. 2 more like this. Reach. And reach underneath the left arm. Reach for the ceiling. Reach underneath the left arm. And we're done. Put the right hand back on the floor. Left hand back on the floor underneath the shoulders. Let's move into downward dog. Curl your toes under. Lift your knees. Press your chest and belly back towards your thighs. Straighten through the legs. Walk the dog if you need to. One heel down, other heel down. So when the right heel's on the floor, the left knee is bent. When the left heel is on the floor, the right knee is bent. You're always trying to send your pelvis towards the top of the wall behind you, lengthening the sit bones away from the earlobes. And I'm really enjoying walking this dog here because I have tight calves from running. So I'm going to let us do this for a little bit longer. Indulge in it. And come back to stillness. Again, set yourself up. So feel like a magnet just pulled your thigh bones back an inch. Feel like your sit bones are being pulled up towards the top of the wall behind you by a magnet. And then feel like your whole spine just moved back towards the top of the wall behind you. Feel like your 2 upper arms by a magnet are being pulled away from your ears. Press down into your thumbs and lengthen the crown of the head away from your shoulders. Just like you're a turtle lengthening your head out of its shell. Let's hold downward dog for a moment. From here, we're going to come forward into a core plank and just set up. We're going to check the setup for the downward dog moving into plank. So we're going to roll forward. And for me, I take a short dog, so I need to walk my feet back a little bit so that when I roll forward into plank, my shoulders stack exactly above my wrists. So I've walked my feet back a little bit and I'm going to send my hips back up into a longer downward dog than I habitually take, we'll say. So set yourself up now. If you need to extend and lengthen your dog, feel free to do so. So this time, we're going to take the shoulders above the wrists and the right knee is going to hug to the left elbow. So we're rotating slightly. The breastbone is pointing towards the left elbow. And then we go back into our downward dog. And then take the shoulders above the wrists and bring the right knee or the left knee to the right elbow. And then go back into your dog. And again, core plank, shoulders above the wrist, bring the right knee to the left elbow. And then back into your downward dog. And again, come forward, left knee to the right elbow. And back into your downward dog. We're going to do this again, right knee to the left elbow. And back into your dog. Left knee to the right elbow. And back into your dog. Do you have 2 more in you? You can take a break if you need to. Right knee to the left elbow. And back into your dog. And then left knee to the right elbow. And back into your dog. 1 more if you have it in you. Right knee to the left elbow. And back into your dog. And last one. Left knee to the right elbow. And back into your dog. Hold your downward dog. And then notice where the tops of your feet are. The tips of your toes, should I say. And then walk your heel forward to where the tips of your toes were, or maybe even a little shorter. Take your left hand and wrap it around the outside of your right calf and then peek your breastbone and your gaze up underneath your right armpit. Press your right hand and your left heel firmly into the ground. Switch sides. Left hand goes back down. Right hand wraps around the back of your left calf and then peek underneath your armpit. Breastbone peeking under your armpit too. Put your hands back on the floor. Come up into your fingertips and walk your feet forward towards the front of your mat. Walk your feet forward to the front of your mat. And so eventually the ankles will be underneath the knees and we're folding forward from the hips and allowing the head to cascade down. Head cascades down. Fingertip the mat, bend your knees slightly, lift your breastbone slightly. We're setting up for chair pose. Keep the lower back nice and long. Reach your upper arms in line with your ears. Lift your breastbone forward as if your breastbone wants to go towards the middle of the wall in front of you. Hold here for 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more deep inhale. And as you exhale, straighten up, standing tall. Hands come into your heart in prayer. Close your eyes and be with your breath. Release your hands. We're going to move through a flow, keeping the integrity of those twists. So understanding that we don't move the spine and the pelvis together. We rotate the spine and keep the pelvis in neutral. So from the front of your mat, feet hip distance, the hips in line with the center of the knee in line with the second toe. The pelvis is not rocking forward, the pelvis is not tilted back, we have the pelvis in neutral. You can always use your diamond shape to check that pelvic compass. Make sure the rib cage is sinking down towards the top of the pelvis so we're not overarching the middle spine. We'll start with the hands down beside you. So my right foot is going to stay my front foot and I'm going to step straight back into a balancing variation of warrior one. So step the left foot back and reach the upper arms in line with the ears. So we're trying to keep the shoulders stacked above the hips. We're not extending the rib cage forward. We keep it all plugged in as if I'm trying to pull my front body into my back body. If having the upper arms in line with the ears is causing you to take those ribs forward, have them ever so slightly forward. That's absolutely fine. Then from here, we're going to take the arms forward and plug the upper arms back into the shoulder sockets. So wrists are now in line with the shoulders, palms facing in towards each other. Keep your left hand exactly where it is. Imagine now you've glued your left hand to a wall. Imagine there's a wall on the outside of your left hand. And then we're going to open the right hand all the way to the right hand side. Keep the right knee where it is and open your breastbone to the right. So the pelvis should stay pretty level. What I mean by that is the pelvis isn't trying to rotate and the right knee stays exactly above the right ankle. You can look to the side. Then come back with the hands facing forward, breastbone facing forward, and release your hands down to the ground. Left hand lightly on the ground. If you can't keep the fingertips on the ground, you could put a block underneath left hand. Keep your pelvis level and reach your right hand up towards the ceiling. And then reach your right hand all the way over to the top left-hand corner of the mat. 2 more times. Reach the right hand to the ceiling. Reach all the way over to the top corner of the mat. And again, reach over. And then reach to the top left-hand corner of the mat. Put both hands down on the ground and step back into a downward dog. Holding your downward dog for a few moments. Keep breathing. Step your left foot forward to the front of the mat. Keep the ball of the right foot on the floor and let's come up to a balancing variation of warrior one. Remember not to flare the ribs, keep weight equal through both feet. So the left knee is stacked exactly above left ankle. Reach the arms forward at shoulder height, plug the upper arms back into the shoulder sockets. Remember that we rotate from the waist. So right hand is now glued to a wall, it's not going to move. Left knee is glued to a wall, it's not going to move. And we're going to rotate and open the chest to the left. Keep the right buttock really strong and that will keep the pelvis level. Take the arm forward again, reach the upper arms beside the ears. Then take both hands down. Keep your right fingertips on the ground or on a block if you want to. Left hand is going to open to the ceiling as we open the chest to follow that hand. And then reach across to the top right hand corner of the mat. Reach up to the ceiling and then to the top right hand corner of the mat. Reach up to the ceiling and then to the top right hand corner of the mat. Take both hands back down, step back into downward facing dog and hold downward dog for a moment. From here, right foot is going to step forward again. So fingertip the mat with the right hand, hug the right knee in towards the chest and step right foot forward. Ball of the left foot is firmly on the floor, lengthen through your spine. And let's come up again to a balancing variation of warrior one or high lunge position. The right knee is above the ankle. Hands are going to come into the heart center in prayer. We're going to rotate the waist to the right, take the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, keep solid in both feet, lift your breastbone towards your thumbs. If you want to, you can gaze at the right elbow. Keep both legs really strong. Make sure to keep the pelvis level so we're not dipping down the left hip. Left buttock is quite active here. Maybe you want to extend deeper, reaching the arms out. So the right fingertips to the ceiling, the left fingertips to the floor. Hold here. Take the hands back in front of the heart. Rotate back to center. Release both hands to the floor. Step back into your downward dog. Other side. Fingertips on that left hand. Left knee hugs in towards the chest. Step your left foot forward. Ball of the right foot firm on the floor. Let's rise up into a balancing variation of warrior one. Beautiful. Take your hands down in front of your heart. Rotate your waist to your left. Take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Point your left elbow at the ceiling and rotate. Keep the right hip really strong, pulling back up towards the ceiling so the pelvis isn't rotating. Maybe we want to extend the arms out. The left fingertips reaching for the ceiling, the right fingertips reaching down the outside of the ankle. Take the hands back into prayer. Take the hands forward, fingers down. This time we're stepping to the front of the mat. So right foot comes forward beside the left foot, standing forward bend. Bend the knees, stack the knees above the toes, reach up into chair. Hold chair for 3 breaths. And then stand tall. Take your hands down in front of your heart in prayer. Close your eyes and be with your breath. Release your hands. Step back to the middle of your mat, please. So what we're going to do is take a standing balance with the rotation. So this is always a challenge. So I was going to describe it before we came into it. In fact, I'm not, because if you think about it, it's only going to make you think about it. Let's just do it and be in it, okay? So left leg is going to be your standing leg. What's important in a standing leg? We're grounding down through the base of the big toe. We're grounding down the whole little toe side of the foot and the heel. So we really feel like we've created an arch. We're pulling the toes and the ball of the foot back towards the heel. So we feel strength and stability in that standing foot. We feel like the muscles in the thighs and the muscles in the legs are drawing the bones upwards as if we're trying to pull them up into that hip joint. So we're not just collapsing, we're locking out the knee. Everything feels like it's rising upwards. As they say, we root down to rise up. Once you've got that left leg, a good strong standing leg, you can have your hands on your hips or down beside you. Lift the right knee to stack the right knee in line with the right hip, just like we do when we're lying on the floor, the ankles underneath the knee. Take your left hand to the outside of the right knee and press them both firmly together. So knee into hand, hand into knee. Open and externally rotate your right shoulder. So your right palm is facing out. And then the right hand is going to reach back behind you. So the right hand is reaching for the wall behind you. Now slowly, keep your gaze on the floor or look into the wall beside you. We're going to rotate to the right. So the breastbone is moving to the right. Left leg is still the standing leg, right arm reaching straight back from right shoulder. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everything releases, we come back to center. And then we're going to go to the other side. So what do we do with the right foot? We make it active. What do we do with the thighs and the muscles in the leg? We pull the bones of the right leg up into the hip joint. We root down, we rise up. Then we lift the left knee, so the left knee stacks in line with left hip, the ankles under the knee. We take the right hand to the outside of the left knee and we press them firmly together. Knee into hand, hand into knee. Then left arm, we take into an external rotation. So I have the palm facing outwards and we reach left arm back as far as it will go. And the fingers are pointing towards the wall behind you. Let's rotate now to your left. So the breastbone is moving to the left. We keep the knee pressing into the hand and the hand pressing into the knee. We keep rotating the waist to the left. Maintain and sustain the position for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything releases, come back to center. Beautiful, well done. Shall we do that again and maybe challenge yourselves a little more? So we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time, 2 different options. We might extend the leg a little and we might look towards the back hand. If you fall out, doesn't matter. So, same thing. Left leg is a standing leg. Lift the right knee up so the right knee stacks in line with the right hip. Take your left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right arm opens so that we externally rotate or open at the shoulder joint and reach the right arm back in line with the shoulder. Then from there, we're going to rotate to the right. So the breastbone's moving to the right. Stay looking straight out. The gaze is looking the same direction as your breastbone. And then begin to extend your right leg as far as you can. Now maybe you can turn the gaze and look towards the back hand if you feel you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's return everything to center. And let's go to the other side. So let's see how we go. So the right leg is a standing leg. It's strong, it's stable. The left knee comes up in line with the left hip ankles under the knee. We take the right hand to the outside of the left leg. We open and externally rotate at left shoulder and we take that left arm back. Now extend your left leg. If you can, keep pressing the knee into the hand. Open your chest to the left and maybe looking at that back hand or thereabouts. Maybe looking at that back hand or thereabouts. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything releases. And shake yourself out. Have a little wiggle. Have a little dance. And then come back to the top of your mat. Okay, so let's move through chair into a forward bend. So, hinge at the hip. Fold forward. Reach your upper arms beside your ears. And then come straight down, hands go to the floor. Step your way back into downward dog for a moment. And from here, we're going to come forward into a plank. So again, shoulders come over the wrists. You might need to extend your legs back a little to find a good solid plank. Feel like your front body is pulling into your back body. Lift the back of the neck towards the ceiling. Options here. So we're going to roll to the little toe side of the left foot. And we're going to step the right foot forward so that the right heel is in line with the left hip. And we push both feet into the floor to lift that left hip away from the floor. Or we stack right foot on top or in front of left foot. I'm going to go for the full variation. When you have that variation, reach your right hand towards the ceiling. Open your breastbone to the side. Lift your ribcage away from the floor. Hold. Side plank. Vashisthasana. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a little rotation. Reach your arm underneath your waist and let the breastbone follow and reach back to the ceiling. 4 more like this. Reach your arm underneath your waist and then reach to the ceiling. Rotate the waist down and up. We have 2 more. Rotate the waist down and up. We have 1 more. Rotate the waist down and up. Switch into plank. Downward dog for a moment. Come forward into plank once more. So choose. Roll onto the little toe side of the right foot. Step the left foot forward in front of the right hip or stack one foot on top of the other. Lift your left hand to the ceiling. Lift your ribs away from the floor. Let's hold. Vashisthasana side plank. Everything is strong. Squeeze your legs together. Now let's go for the rotation. Down and up. Rotate breastbone towards the floor. Left arm underneath the right arm and back up. 3 more, please. 1 more, please. Release your hands to the floor. Come back into your plank. Knees down. Big toes touch. Knees as wide as your mat. And you come into child's pose, please. Come into child's pose. Put the buttocks on the heels. Put the forehead on the floor. And just relax and be with your breath. Relax and be with your breath. Well done. If you feel your heart beating, if you feel your breath is fast, that's okay. Just let it all sink and settle now. Breathe deeply into your belly and your low back. Let your heart rate and your breathing come back into their own easy rhythm. When you're ready, come back up to your all fours. We're just going to come down onto the belly and take the elbows underneath the shoulders. You can wrap the fingers around the outsides of the arms just to make sure that you have the elbows and the shoulders. And then take your wrist back in line with your elbow again. Press your pubic bone down into the earth and feel like from the front of your pubic bone to your belly button, you just got longer. From your belly button to your breastbone, you just got longer. And from your breastbone to your chin, without lifting your chin upwards, get longer. Feel like you're pressing your elbows and your forearms into the ground. Press your feet firmly down into the ground. So the feet press down, the knees might even lift a little. We're still going to play with the rotation here. So breastbone and gaze move towards the right. Look at your right foot. Keep your left elbow pressing firmly down. Come back center. And then rotate to your left. Keep your right elbow pressing firmly down, right hip pressing firmly down. Look at your left foot. And come back center. We're going to do this twice more. So rotate to your right and come back center. Rotate to your left and come back center. One more to your right. Breastbone gaze looking at your right foot. And back center. And breastbone gaze looking at your left foot. And back center. Again, just hold the back bend for a moment. Grow a little taller. And then release. Elbows out to the side. One hand stacked upon the other. Put your forehead in the back of your hands. Let your heels roll outwards. And relax. Lift your head, roll straight over onto your back. So just roll over and lie down into Shavasana for a moment. And just allow yourself to feel stability. So press your legs down into the earth. Press your arms down into the earth. Feel your pelvic floor lifting and feel your rib cage moving inwards. Make yourself really strong like a soldier standing to attention. Make yourself really strong for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax completely into a full and deep Shavasana. poem called Perspective by Annika Trebola. A glass half filled or a glass half spilled is just a difference of perspective, as satisfaction is gained by categorizing them into positive and negative. But there's also an angle which must be seen, that glass can be refilled up to the level brim. Hence, be the person with that sight, who sees hope on dark nights, as you can walk to the infinite if you see it from your own eyes. Take your attention back to your body. Take your attention back to your body. Take your attention back to your body and begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Move your hands, move your feet. Turn your head side to side. Take a stretch with your arms overhead. And relax. Bend your knees. Roll onto one side and slowly come up into a seated position. Once seated, take your hands in front of your heart in prayer. And I would love you to list in your mind 3 things that you are grateful for today. 3 things that you are grateful for today. List 3 things that you are grateful for. And then with a smile on your face and hopefully peace in your heart, let's bow forward to seal the practice with the Irish word for peace, Síocháin.